back. Yes, so continuing our focus on the state of emergency. Well, yes, you have seen that 3 soldiers, 14 insurgents have been killed and 20 of them arrested, and the report just keeps making the rounds. But yes, we have more commentary coming on over the weekend concerning what they think about it. Well, here's one of the most recent comments on the matter.
Present orchestrated attacks that have continued to undermine national security is obviously a threat to the survival of the nation, apart from the human lives we've been losing on a regular basis. Mr. President, 2 days ago or thereabouts, about 3 days ago, announced state of emergency in the 3 states already mentioned. From the measures announced by Mr. President, all the political office holders will retain their positions. All the governors, all the elected officials will continue doing what they're doing in their various states. What this portends is that the President has merely provided additional security to these people. We, as a party, believe that security is a collective responsibility, both for Mr. President as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and also the governors who are administering the states.
Okay, so there you have it, and commenting, saying, well, giving his support, but they will continue. As a matter of fact, the military says they will continue until a complete victory is achieved. Well, yes, complete being the adjective that describes the whole scenario. Well, Liborous Oshoma joins us, as you might have seen in the opening start. He's a legal practitioner. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. Always my pleasure.
Also, many perspectives on this matter, and about now, I guess it's lots of people coming to terms with that reality. But of course, as it unfolds, where we'll continue having briefings from the defense hierarchy, well, one of them, 3 soldiers, 14 insurgents, 20 arrested, and then they say until complete victory is achieved. So looking at this entire scenario, how would you comment on how it was declared and the successes, or based on the reports so far?
First and foremost, I would want to say kudos to the soldiers who are giving their today for our tomorrow. Some of them are relations, some of them are brothers, and some of them have died in the course of, trying to protect our tomorrow. And most times, we hardly remember them. We just believe that's what they signed for, and I really wish them well. And the way you see Americans treat their soldiers, it's high time we should also begin to respect our soldiers also. And be that as it may, the way tomorrow, from the media reports that the National Assembly would be debating the proclamation tomorrow, because what the President had done was a proclamation until, by the provisions of Section 305, until approved by the National Assembly. That's when it now becomes an emergency rule. And then we've had argument back and forth on the fact that Mr. President left, the democratic structures in place, and that he ought to have demolished the democratic structures. People had that erroneous belief because of the precedent that we've had before now. If you remember, during the Wide West issue in the First Republic, when Tafawa Balewa-led government declared a state of emergency in the West as a result of the rancor and the internal wrangling and open show of shame in the Western House of Assembly in Ibadan. He declared a state of emergency and appointed his personal physician, Dr. Maje Kudumi, as a sole administrator for that period. And subsequently, the Obasanjo era also, when there was a problem as to who the sitting governor was in Ekiti. If you remember, the House of Assembly allegedly impeached Fayose, and the man said I was not properly impeached, and the deputy governor says you've been impeached, and so I am the governor. And so there was a claim. Two people were laying claim to the governorship seat, and Obasanjo declared the state of emergency in Ekiti, and they appointed his friend also, General Tuju Olori, as the sole administrator. And so we've had this bad precedent. And so there's this belief. That's why you hear anytime there's...
so you call it a bad precedent?
Yes, precedent. It was an illegality. I will get to that. And so that's why you hear anytime there's call for a state of emergency declaration, you see the governors, the state of assembly, and the politicians are jittering. And what President Jonathan simply did now was the proper thing to do. And before I go there, you remember February 7th, 2000 and this year, the governor of Boston, Massachusetts declared a state of emergency in Boston to enable the road workers clear the snow on the highways. The movements of persons were limited, that everybody should stay indoors, and so as to enable the workers, to clear the highway. Also, even by the provisions of our constitution, by provisions of section 305 subsection 4, a governor can call on Mr. President to declare a state of emergency in his state. And so if that happens, does it mean that the governor will now call on Mr. President to declare a state of emergency and sack him and the entire State House of Assembly? Because, like I said, because of this bad precedent, we've continually believed that this illegality that had been thrown at us by past government, that was the way to go. And I want to quickly, for the benefit of our listener, I want to quickly read from that section 305 so that we'll truly understand what we're talking about. Section 305. Section 305 says, save as otherwise provided in this section. Okay, subsection 2. Says, save as section 305. Sorry. Subject to the provision of this constitution, the president may by instrument published in the official gazette of the government of the Federation issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in the Federation or any part thereof. The president shall immediately after the publication transmit copies of the official gazette of the government of the Federation containing the proclamation, including the details of the emergency, to the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, each of whom shall forthwith convene or arrange for a meeting of the House, of which he is president or speaker, as the case may be, to consider the situation and decide whether or not to pass a resolution approving the proclamation. He now listed situations under which the president can declare a state of emergency. He now says, subsection 4, the governor of a state may, with the sanction of a resolution supported by two-thirds majority of the House of Assembly, request the president to issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in the state when there is in existence within the state any of the situations specified in subsection 3, C, D, and E of this section, and such situation does not extend beyond the boundaries of the state. So what I'm saying here is that when you look at these sections, and then even section 11 that empowers the National Assembly to make laws for a state, it does not say that the State House of Assembly will no longer make laws for that state. In a situation where where there's an insurgent, and that is impossible for the State House of Assembly to sit and make laws for the order and good governance of the state, or in a situation where the State House of Assembly is the one that actually had declared a sovereign state. And that means in that situation, it is the State House of Assembly that is trying to secede from the Federation. And it is such situation that the National Assembly is empowered to make laws for such states. And not the state of emergency is not to destroy democratic structures, but to enhance the democratic structures. And a combined reading of Section 188, 187, 188, and 189 that spells out the tenure of the elected officers. There is no provision in that section for empowering the president to sack a governor or a state house of assembly.
The confusion that that many have faced concerning this state of emergency is who is in charge exactly? The responsibilities, especially in the area of security. Yes, the president said, especially when it comes to the area of security, that's in the hands of the military. But the democratic structure still stays. So some people out there are still confused. Who is in charge of the state? Now, somebody asked the question, says, the security votes. Now, some people say it's not all about the money. But security votes, where does it go to? That's the confusion for a lot of people.
It's like saying, because the state of emergency has been declared, that even the police in the state will cease to operate. The SSS, the vigilante groups, the National Security Corps will cease to operate. These are institutions democratically elected, empowered by the Constitution to operate within the ambit of their powers. And so, what happens in a state of emergency, because some people have been confused with these issues that, okay, it's a state of emergency. You cannot call it a state of emergency when the governor is still in place. What happens in that instance is that the governor, your rights to your rights as prescribed in Chapter 4 of the Constitution are suspended. The right not to search you without a warrant, the right not to arrest you without a warrant, the right that once you are arrested, you're brought to court within 48 hours. That's why you discover that they have the power now. The military have the power to arrest you without a warrant. They have the power to keep you beyond 48 days. They have the powers to search a house, conduct a search on a house when there's reasonable cause to believe that that house is occupied or that there is something sinister going on in that house. These are rights that are suspended. Because they are people, the essence of government is the protection of these rights. That's why the National Assembly, the president needs the approval of the National Assembly to suspend these rights. It is not to destroy the democratic structures in place. A situation where you have a governor who does not like your face, a president who does not like your face as a governor, or you have a problem with a president. Like we were seeing happening in Rivers State, and then there were already allegations that the president was going to declare a state of emergency in the state and then sack the entire structure, the entire democratic structure in the place. So when you have a dictator for a president, or a president who has you have issues with a governor, if you allow it to stand, what you simply do is to say, look, there is uprising or unrest in that state, and you declare a state of emergency and appoint your friend as the sole administrator. That is not the intent of the Constitution.
Well, perhaps I think it looks like this is just not the first time the president has actually done this. You remember the
15 local governments.
We had those local governments in Borno Plateau and Gombe in December of 2011. At that point in time, no one ever argued why the chairmen were still in place.
Exactly. You know why? Because at that, and also because I think also because the presidential advisors did not truly understand the intent of this proclamation and the declaration, and that's why the president did not even go the whole hog of declaring a state of emergency in all of these states, because there was this fear that once a state of emergency is declared, the entire democratic structures should go. So when they were declared in these local governments, nobody talked about whether the chairman should stay or the chairman should go. There was we didn't have an issue of, no, the soldiers are not completely in charge, and so the chairman is not the chief security officer of that local government. But here, what we have is we play politics with everything. We want to play politics with people's lives, want to play politics with every decision of government, you know I am not an apostle of the PDP-led government. But if the president takes the right step, the onus is on us to say the president had taken the right step. And there is nothing in the law that is saying that what the president had done, it should be done the other way. And then also, it is not people's opinion. Governance is, constitutionality is not about people's opinion. It's not about people's interpretation. I've asked people that said, look, democratic, since is an emergency situation, that democratic structures should be demolished, I've asked them to show me where that provision is in the Constitution. And let me read subsection, because some people had latched on so much to section 11 of the 1999 Constitution. And if you look at these sections that we're talking about, the National Assembly may make laws for the Federation or any part thereof with respect to the maintenance and securing of public safety and public order, and providing maintenance and securing of such supplies and services as may be designed by the National Assembly as essential supplies and services. Now, subsection 2 says, nothing in this section shall preclude a House of Assembly from making laws with respect to the matters referred to in this section, including the provision of maintenance and securing of such supplies and services as may be designated by the National Assembly as essential supplies and services. And then if you now go to subsection 3, during any period when the Federation is at war, the National Assembly may make such laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Federation or any part thereof with respect to matters not included in the exclusive legislative list as may appear to be necessary or expedient for the defense of the Federation. Then subsection 4, at any time when any House of Assembly of a state is unable to perform its function by reason of the situation prevailing in that state. Has it been shown that the Adamawa House of Assembly, the Borno State House of Assembly, or the Yobe House of Assembly is unable to make law, to sit? It's a situation where you say, okay, because as a result of the insurgents, the militants are taking over the State of House of Assembly, and it's impossible for them now to sit and make laws for the good people of this state. That you now say, okay, you invoke this section, and the National Assembly will now begin to make laws for them. And also, mind you, the House of Assembly, for the fact that they are not sitting for that duration of that time, does not mean that somebody has sacked the National Assembly.